In this video, I want to explain about the useState. Okay, I want to create a folder. Inside the components, I have already created a folder useState, and I want to create a new file score counter .jsx. Okay, after creating the JSX file, first of all we need to run our server. Here now we are in the path front and second batch. After front and second batch, we need to go to this React.js folder. For that, we need to click on cd space tab, and after that go to the React.js folder. In the React.js folder, I want to navigate to the Shellcommer app application. For that, I want to write again cd and press tab, and I'm navigating to the Shellcommer app application page. Here, if you see in the Shellcommer app application page, all the React folders and files are already there. So we need to start our React app here. npm start. It will take some time to start our React app. So I want to create a scorecounter.jsx file component, and I want to import in the app.jsx. In the scorecounter.jsx, I want to use RFCE to create a functional component. RFCE, it will give the boilerplate code of a functional component, and I want to integrate it in the app.js file to see on the browser. So score counter. Okay, the browser is not yet open, and I want to comment the counter application also. First of all, I want to explain about something about this counter.jsx to explain about how the useState is working. For creating a useState, we need to define two variables here, like const count comma set count is equal to useState of 100. If you want to use useState in our application, then we have to import useState from the React at the top. Then only we can use useState in our application. Here 100 is the initial value, which is equal to the count variable. Here the value of the count is equal to 100. It means, and the set count is a function. It is also visible in the yellow color. The set count is a function which is used to change the value of the count. Okay, whatever we pass inside this set count parameter, that value will update in the screen. So now I think now the browser is open. I want to open Chrome and type localhost 3000, and it will give the in the app.js we have a counter application and a score counter, so it is displaying like this. So now I want to comment out the counter application, and we have only score counter.jsx in the screen as it is used in the app.jsx file. In the score counter.jsx, I want to create two buttons to increase the count. Okay. For example, I want to create a score for one team, like RCB or CSK, something like that. I want to, or I can use India, I want to use it in a H1 tag, H1 India, and we need to write the score also here, like 271 for 4. Okay, we can display like this the score, and if anyone scores 4, I want to create a button here like 4, and clicking on the 4, the score will increase to the add the total to the 271. So now it will become 275. To make it functional, I have to create a variables like states. First of all, I will try with the normal JavaScript variables. Const score equal to 274 and const wickets equal to 4. Now I want to use this score and wicket in our JSX. For that, any number we can take. Okay. Now I want to integrate this score in JSX. For that, I have to use curly braces. Then it will display like this. For replacing the 4, we have to use the wickets. Okay. Now if I change the score to 275, then it will automatically update in the score. But after when we run our application, we don't have any right to change our code. So we have to manipulate the DOM only to change the score or any operation. So it is not a correct way to change the score directly here. For that purpose, I want to create a function like on clicking on any button. First of all, I want to create some buttons for score. Score buttons. I want to create a heading like score buttons. After that, I need to create some buttons for increase the score. Score buttons, and I want to create the buttons also. Button like +1. Like when I click on this +1 button, the score has to be increased by 1. Okay. For that, I want to use the onClick event. OnClick equal to increase score by 1, or we can use the ONE1. Increase score by 1 is the function. Control C, and I want to use this increase score by 1 function as like a arrow function. Okay. Now I want now when I click on this increase score by 1, then it has to display in the console. Now I want to write something in the console, like console.log score. In double quotes, I want to use score increased by 1. Like when I click on this button, this increase score by 1 function has to be called, and we have to print score increased by in the console. And navigate into the console and refresh. And clicking on the plus, if you see the score increased by 1 is displaying in the console. How many times I have increased it. Okay. Now the function is working properly, so I want to increase the count. Like a score equal to score plus 1, score equal to score plus 1. But if I had done like this, like as const is a score is a const variable, we cannot change the assignment. We cannot give the assignment to the constant variable. So it will throw the errors whenever we click on this button like +1. Okay, now we are not getting any error, but when click on the plus, it is giving some error like a constant variable is or like we cannot give assignment to the constant variables. So it is not a correct way. So now I want to change like increase declare with the letter where anything we can do. But if here the 275 score is visible on the screen, that is fine. But when click on the plus, here I have not written any console.log score. Then I want to see what is the score value in the console. +1, +2, +1 like this. When I click on this, the score value is increases, but it is not shown in the DOM or a screen. Okay, because the screen we are using React.js. In React.js, whenever the state updates, then only the component renders and the screen will update it. But here we are changing the value of the score, but we are not updating the state. So even when I click on the plus button, the score value increases, but it is not shown in the browser. For that we need to create a state. For creating a state, we need to give the two parameters like score comma set score. We need to use the two variables like score and set score. Here score is a variable and set score is a function to change the value of the score. Okay, now we want to declare the useState, and don't forget to import at the top. Here useState is automatically import. If it is not automatically import, then we have to type like this in the curly braces useState. Okay, then it is using this useState. But we need to provide this initial value. Like here, if you see the score value is not visible. If I give like 275, here the score will display like this 275 like this. But if I want to change the value of the score, for that we need to use the set score method to change the value of the score. So set score method is like, as we are increasing the score by 1, I have to use like a score plus 1. So now when I click on this button, increase score by 1 function is called. At that time what happened? So it will call the set score function with the score plus 1. Here now the score value is 275. Then we are adding the 1. So 276 is passed to the set score function when that value is displayed on the screen. Okay, I am clicking on the refresh and clicking on the plus like this. Okay, here if you see whenever I click on the plus 1 button, instead of score buttons we have, it is better to use like runs buttons. So it is easy for you to we can separate like run buttons and score buttons like plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 like this. Then the score is increased by 1. Okay, like if any persons hit 6 or 4, then we have to click 4 times like 1 2 3 4 like that. For that there will be a chance we are clicking 3 times or 5 times 6 times like that. So for that I want to create another buttons like button 4 button plus 4, and I want to create a function on click equal to increase score by 4, and I want to copy this function and use it on the top as a arrow function. So here what happens is we need to, when clicking on this plus 4 button, we need to increase our score by 4. So that what we can do, we can set score of score plus 4. So whatever the score value is there, whatever the score value that is there in the DOM, that value will be taken here and the 4 value is added. Okay, now I am clicking on this plus 4 button. If you see, the score is increases by 5. When person scores 1, then we are increasing the value by 1 like this. If any person hits the score 4, then here the value is increased by 4 like that. Okay, and the same for 6. And I created a button increase score by 6. I have taken a function like this. Control C, const set score of whatever the score value that is there in the screen plus 6. Here we have created the 3 buttons, plus 1, plus 4, plus 6, plus 6. whenever we click on plus 6, that value is increases by 6. If I click on plus 4, that score is increases by 1. 4, click on 1, the score is increased by 1. Here it is working fine. And I want to create buttons for score 3 and score 2 also. I want to create one button for increase the score by 3, plus 3, and I am creating this on click function also. On score increase by 3. I have modified this function as a score increase by 3, and I want to use this function at the top before the return. Okay, score increase by function is called. Okay, as we are here, what we are doing when we want to increase the score by 1, set score of score plus 1, and we can think like instead of increasing the score by score plus 3, we can do like 3 times. It is like a normal scenario. All are thinking like that when they are new to the states. Okay, let's see what will happen when I click on this different buttons like 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4 like that. Here the value is 271. I'm clicking on the plus 1, 276, and when clicking on the plus 3, here also the value is increases by 1. But when I click on the plus 4, here it is increases by 4, like this, score by score plus 4. And clicking on this 6, it is also working fine. But when clicking on this plus 3, here what will happen? Here set score of score plus 1, score plus 1, score plus 1 like that. But here if you see whatever value that is there, like the present value is 288, that value is taken over 288 here also, here also, here also. It is taken for 3 times. That's why when we are updating the states, what happens is it is not updating the every state at every time. Okay, it is taking all the states and update all states at a single time only. Like updating the like it is rendering the component for one time only. For that it is taking all the states at rendering all the states at one time. At that time the set score of the value of score is 288, that plus 1. So when clicking on this plus 3, here the value is like moving to the 289. Okay, there was some problem like that, but we can achieve by using this asynchronous type of state updating. So for that we need to use like the previous state. Like we can take any parameter here and we need to use that previous state plus 1, and I am copying this 3 times here. Okay, copying it 3 times here, the previous state. I'm clicking on this plus, the value increases by 1. I'm clicking on this plus 3, here the value increases by 3 as expected. We can change this previous state like a previous score, and I have to replace all this with the previous score, or we can use for 2 items also. It is up to you, but whatever there in the like parameter that I have to use in this function, arrow function. So here the previous state is used, so previous state is used, and here I have used a previous score, here also previous score. Okay, so when clicking on this plus, okay, whenever I have done refresh, it is loading with value 275, because here when I have created the state, that value is like taking the initial value of 275 only, like at the first render. So it is taking the value of 275 only whenever I done refreshing. Okay, after that when clicking on this plus 3 button, increase score by 3 function is called, and it is executing this lines of code. Whenever the lines of code is executing, here inside this parameter what we are passing an arrow function. It is taking this previous state and updating this state. So here the previous state is 275, it is taking over here 275, and we are adding the value by 1, 276. So when we are using this previous score by like for the second time, like using like as a arrow function, this value is taken over here. Like 276 is taken over here and 276 plus 1. After that we are using like 277 plus 1. And clicking on this plus 3, the value increases by 3. And there was just some problem with this code that we are repeating the code. Like every function as we are using this score for increasing the score by 1, score 4, score 6, like this only. Here, whenever we are doing the things like this, what are changing here? We are changing only the number only, like plus 1, plus 4, plus 6, and the remaining all are same. So we can this type of problems we can achieve by using event handling. Okay, on that time we have to pass this button with value like value equal to 1, value equal to 3, value equal to 4, like that. On clicking on this button, this event has to be taken over here, and with the help of this event value we are updating the state. So we can also achieve that by using event handling, but as we are learning the state, I am not telling those things in here. And I have to create same thing for the increase by 2. Taking this, copying this thing and using here like 2. And I have to create this function before the return statement. I am creating the arrow function and set score of, we can use score plus 2 or we can use the arrow function to update the score. Here I have used the normal method. Okay, and clicking on this refresh, it is updating, and we need to update this button text also like plus 2. And clicking on this plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 6, plus 2, plus 6, like this. The score is increasing like which button we are clicking. Okay, now I am clicking on this. Now I want to create the buttons for wickets. So I am copying this thing, like I will type the things again. Like I am taking a new div and h2 for the wickets button. Okay, here if you see for the wickets button, we have to increase the, whenever wicket is fallen out, at that time we have to increase the button by 1, like wickets by 1, wickets value by 1. For that I have taken a button. Okay, we can like write like wicket button, wicket CKET, or we can use like increase wicket. Okay, we are not, I am not following the naming convention better, but we can take like this. And when clicking on this, on click equal to, and we can use this function here like increase wickets. Okay, I have used for the function increase wickets, and I want to use it at the top. Const. Okay, whenever I click on this increase wicket, this value has to be increased. But if you see here, I have not used state for here, but when we are updating the, like even though we are taking it by using the let also, when we want to update this, the value will increase, but it is not updated in the screen. So for that I want to create a state for wickets also. Const wickets comma set wickets equal to useState of initial value with 4, as we are taking this initial value with 4. I am refreshing. Here it is showing the wickets is not defined. So here I have like written the spelling mistake here. So if you see here, the like it is not throwing any errors. I think I'm clicking on this refresh. Okay, when clicking on this increase wickets, it is not increasing because we are not updating the state of the wickets. So for updating the state of the wickets, we can use like set wickets to wickets plus 1. So here it is the increase wickets function is also used here. And clicking on this increase wickets, here the value is increasing like this. Okay, I'm clicking on this plus 2, plus 3 like that. But if you see here, like for a cricket match, it is obvious that we can't go over the 10 wickets. But we click on this, the value is increasing. So we need to check whether the wickets value is greater than or like not. Okay, I want to write a condition here. If wickets value is we need to update the wickets value when only less than or equal less than 10. Then only we have a choice to update the wickets. I have written a condition for here. The wickets value is less than 10. Then only we can update the wickets. Okay, let's see whether it is working or not. I am refreshing. It is refreshing with the loaded with initial values like 275 and 274. And I want to change this value to like 256 and refreshing. Here the 256 value will be visible as we are using this states like score and wickets here. The score value will like it will refers to the score with initial value of 256 that will be displayed on the down. Okay, now I want to increase the wickets like this 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. After even the I am clicking on this increase button, the value is not increasing because it is failing the condition. And we can write the else condition and create a alert box to show that we cannot add more than 10 wickets in a team like that. We can do. Okay, that is the overall scenario for increasing the wickets and the score. And I want to make it with the 0 values. I want to start with the 0 values and see whether it is working or not. Okay, whenever any cricketer hits like taken 3 runs, the value is increasing by 3. And here we are using the previous state method. And clicking on this plus, increase by score by 1 function will be called. In this increase score by 1 function, we are writing like set score of score plus 1. With the score value, whatever there in the term, that value will be increases by 1. Okay. And clicking on this plus 1, the value will increase by 5, 6, 4 like this. And if any wicket is fallen, the value also increases. So it is the like we can do like this. Like if you want to calculate the score for, or like if you want to do the score for another team also, we can do. For that we have to use like Control C, Control V. Like I want to use this score counter for 2 times. If you see here, it is storing the separate score for these two teams, and we can increase the wickets also like these things. But if you see here, the team value is India in both the cases. So that I want to comment out this India part as of now, but we can pass the state by using the props here. But I don't want to complicate you. So I want to delete from here. I want to add after this before the counter variables like H1 India, and we can use H1 Australia. Okay, if you see here, we are getting the 2 team scores like India and Australia. Okay, and we can conditionally like maintain these things also. And now I want to make these 2 things in a div. And want to Control X. Like this we can use, and we can conditionally render these things also. And I want to create a class name. For this class name equal to scoreboard like this. I want to use scoreboard. I want to style as we have already app.css file. I'm going to navigate into this file app.css and I want to use the CSS here. Scoreboard. As I am using the class name, I am using the dot method dot scoreboard and using the display flex method. So it will come by side by side. It will come by side by side. I want to use the justify content as a space around. It is better to see the things like this. If I use, even though it makes us responsive also. And clicking on this +1, +2, +3. Here the values are increasing and records are also increasing parallel. And we can do this thing for Australia also. Here in the else condition, you can write the alert like this. Alert, game is over. Okay, it is like whenever the conditions is failed, at that time it is like it is not updating the wickets and it says that game is over. Okay, I am refreshing the browser and seeing the output. Like I am increasing this count by values and after that I am increasing this value by 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 after it is accepting the values of 10 and it is still accepting the value also. So we need to like do this thing also. But when clicking on this increase button, here it is as we have already 9 wickets fallen, so it is telling that game is over. So we can't add wickets after this. And we can make a condition here also, like if the value is we have to add this score only when the value is less than wickets is less than 10. Whenever the value is equal to 10, we don't have any rights to like add these things. Or else we can make a condition to disable these buttons whenever the like wickets value is equal to 10. And I am writing this condition if the score counter values are there in the score counter.js and I want to like show this, display this, disable this button like add score buttons, and I want to disable this add score and disable buttons if wickets equal to value equal to 10. At the time I want to show the empty component, otherwise here we can write a condition like if wickets greater than or equal to 10, we don't need to show this thing, otherwise we can show this component. Here something is wrong. Control S. Here, as we have already know that all the JSX needs to be wrapped in a single div. So I want to take a div and I want to wrap this things here. Control D. So if it is not showing any errors here and I am refreshing here the screen. So here I am increasing the scores by values and I am increasing the values also 9, 10. Okay, whenever the value is 10 is equal, then we are disabling this, we are hiding these buttons. So we don't have anything to increase this score value. And for the same for Australia, whenever the value is equal to 9, it is still showing and it is we can add these buttons also. Whenever we are clicking on this button 10, it is the Australia buttons are also not visible. Like after like the wickets are fallen equal to 10, then we don't need to add anything. So this type of things that we can achieve by using this conditional rendering also. Thank you.